we would be talking about some of the questions that were asked in your Psychology 2020 examination. Some of the most important and the typical questions that were there would be addressed in this set. Now, the first question talks about the integral yoga. This is the section from the new topics that have been added in psychology. This integral yoga is also known as the supramental yoga state, and the transformation implies a change from lower levels to the growth of mind, the growth of the body, and attaining a higher level of consciousness. So there are three important transformations that we usually talk about. Those are the psychic transformations, the spiritual transformations, and the supramental transformations. In the supramental transformation, we understand the various parts, which are the tapasya and the transformation of lower self. Now the transformation of lower self starts first of all with mind. Then you have the transformation of the vital, transformation of the physical, moving on to transformation of subconscious and inconstant. So those are the proper path that we would follow for the transformation. So when we say it's transformation of mind, it says that one should not suppress or hold the mind, allow the mind to freely develop. When we say transformation of vital, it signifies the desires, the anger, the ego that an individual has. Moving on to transformation of physical shows that it is moving towards the thumb, the inertia or the forgetfulness that is required. The transformation of subconscious basically says that information that is dark or ignorant should be removed and mind should be fully under control. And finally is the transformation of inconsistent, that says that there is a spiritual change that is actually possible. Now the next is a scenario, a case study. Now this deals with mainly applied psychology section. There is a client sitting very nervously in the chair and facing the counselor with the eyes scanned anxiously around. Now the counselor says at the very first go that it must be very difficult for you to understand why you are here and why you have been called here. Now this response that a counselor gives is an example of dealing with the content speculated to be a kind of motivation for the things that has not been said by the client. So now the client would actually feel that I have not spoken anything, still the counselor is able to understand me, and since the counselor is able to understand me, I am comfortable sharing my problems. And that is a very important aspect that a counselor has to develop. So you have one as the right option here. The next question is the components of metacognition. Now this is very important. Metacognition includes metacognitive knowledge and metacognitive regulation. Under the knowledge, you have knowledge of person variables, task variable, and strategy variable. Under metacognitive regulation, it is planning, monitoring, evaluating, and finally revising. So here knowledge and regulation are two aspects of metacognition. Metacognition is cognition of cognition. So it's understanding why you understand in a certain fashion, as simple as that. So understanding and reflecting of the ideas and thoughts are the basic idea. Now door in the face technique is based on the tactics of reciprocity. This is something that we have discussed in a separate lecture. You have foot in the door and door in the face technique. Now door in the face technique says that you ask for a bigger request. If that is not fulfilled, at least your smaller request would be well done. And that is something that child tries to do. Ask for bigger toys. If not, okay, small would be fine. At least I'll have a toy. So that is the tactic based on reciprocity. So that is a very important question. We have covered these sections in a separate class. Very important for your examination point of view next time as well. The Hem-Queen thesis is an interesting thesis which stated that there is a problem, and then that it stated that it's impossible, it's practically impossible for a hypothesis to be tested in isolation. There is a need for auxiliary assumptions. You cannot just test any of the hypotheses, keep it in isolation away from all things and test it. It is actually practically not possible, and that is the basis for the Hem-Queen thesis, a very important question and questions like these come off and on. Now here some of the other terms that have been used. The Occam razor is basically the law of economy, which says that overly complicated explanations with respect to some of the theoretical combinations are slowly and gradually shaved off or removed off. Okay, incommensurability basically says the thing does not have any meaning, no common basis based on which we are talking about it. And logical empiricism we have covered a separate lecture, very important. It's a very important aspect even in your logic and philosophy. It is also known as what is called as logical positivism. It's a scientific methodology to accept or reject a theory or statement that is given. So logical empiricism, logical positivism, very important for your paper 2 as well as paper 1, I would say, for your NET examination. The next is, under the Vygotsky's scheme, there is a sequence of speech and language development. So the first stage is the primitive stage, that is the very initial stage. It consists of babbles that an infant makes, small sounds that are done. Then you have nave, which is the word formation, and the child starts to learn how to speak. Next to it is egocentric, and finally there is ingrowth. Egocentric is interaction with others, applying meaning to a certain object. So that is how we understand the egocentric stage, when the child talks about himself, herself, tries to attach meaning to each of the things. And finally is the stage of ingrowth, where child starts to internalize his own self, trying to understand why the person is behaving in so and so fashion, maybe because of the past events, the situations, or any other things or scenarios that they have witnessed. The next is, which of the following internal roadblocks to effective learning is exemplified by a statement, we have never done it the way before. We have never done it that way before. So this is a simple example of resistance to change. The person is not trying to change. There is a resistance to change, that we have not done in this way before, why you are asking us to do now. So a very simple example I'll quote here. Let's say you are all prepared for your examination this year, and suddenly just before your examination, two months before, the examination body has announced a total new syllabus for your examination, a new pattern, probably negative marking, multiple options correct, and a total new strategy, new topics introduced. So what would be the first response from most of the students? We have never done it the way before. We are resistant to this change. There would be a huge protest saying that the things should be rolled back and the new things should not come in place. So that is what is resistance to change. But if you are well prepared, you won't go for resistance to change. The next question is, many companies now enable their employees to share profit or even to participate in companies' ownership. That is correct. Workers' productivity boosts reward from employers. Definitely, because of the rewards, there is an idea to participate in the company's ownership. So both are correct, and reason is the correct explanation for the question here. The next is, a teacher engages students in hands-on, inquiry-based and relevant learning activities in the class. What does this demonstrate? This demonstrates creating an intrinsic motivation. The student should be self-motivated to do something. There is no external motivation coming in. When I am having questions, I am having inquiry, I am doing things on hands-on. It's my interest to look into it. Okay, and this is an application of law of effect. Now law of effect, which was law propounded by Thorndike, says that responses that lead to reward have a tendency to increase in strength. So more the rewards, you would have more strength. Once you are doing hands-on experiment, you would feel that you have done something and you would be further interested in doing that again. So B and C would be the right option for this question. The last question talks about testing the univariate normality distribution. So Q-test, Shapiro-Wilk and Jacques-Bera are all examples of testing the univariate normality. Scatter plot is a graphical interpretation method. So you would have scatter plot in the case if it was given as a graphical form. But yes, you have A, B and C as the right option here. Now this is something we have covered in our class on tests on normality. How do they actually happen, and the statistical aspects. Now most of the statistical softwares have certain of the specific tests that are given. However, when we try to understand those, it's very important to focus on why actually we are going for a specific test rather than just going in and applying the test. So those are some of the important aspects that we need to understand before we focus on the further details of normality and testing of normality. We would be covering many more interesting lectures on psychology. Stay tuned. Have a wonderful day ahead.